to Protecting the Legacy, a show sponsored by the Boutique Cigar Association. Grab a cigar and your favorite beverage and join us for the next hour as we tackle some of the most difficult topics in our industry. Now, please join your hosts, Kerr Viajante, Armen and Dr. Gaby Caffey as we dive into this week's hot topics.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. How are you gentlemen doing? I am here with Dr. Gaby Caffey of Cafe 1901s and Armen of DAV
Thursday.
Cigars.
Yes, sir.
Was it Happy Monday? Thursday.
Thursday. I think it's Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters, really.
Monday. Maundy.
I don't know.
This is the Last Supper. This is the Jesus praying in the garden and being arrested.
Yes, that's very
Listen,
true.
Listen, 12
that's
years
very,
of Catholic school, brother, kind of, sticks with you.
It's true, and it's nice that a lot of the I'm seeing a lot of the churches are having a service online. They're streaming it live, so anybody that wants to sort of be a part of it can do so from the comfort of their home. So cheers to all the churches that are doing that.
It's Passover too.
Yes.
I had a guy who worked for me in Pittsburgh, and we were putting our schedules together, and I said to him, I'm like, all right, we got this, and I go, oh man, I'm like, I can't work with you next week. I said, it's Passover. He goes, oh my God, I forgot about that. I'm such a bad Catholic. I said, nice. Dude,
that's awesome.
Do you realize that? And he goes, well, it's around the same time as Easter, so same thing, right? I was like, oh shit, we got a long way to go. But
can I just tell you, brother, I can go through this whole pandemic with a smile on my face now, because it was Christmas for me a couple of days ago. I was out doing some shopping, and there was a package waiting for me on my porch, and it said from Cafe 1901. I said, wow, what could this be? Okay. And there it was, staring me in the face, Cafe 1901 coffee. Oh. And I wasted no time grinding it, brewing it, and drinking it, and it lives up to all the hype. So everybody listening out there, okay, yeah, we already know the cigars are great, fantastic, wonderful.
Great coffee, man.
But there's something to be said about the coffee, and I am a coffee snob, and now it's my go-to, and I think now I'm spoiled, because now I'll just pass by Starbucks or Dunkin' or anywhere else and be like, what? I've got cafe coffee. What do I need this for?
Thank you very much, Armen.
Thank you, brother. That was very, very, very
thank you.
Sweet and thoughtful. I even was nice enough to brew a couple of cups for Mom, and
wonderful.
She's also a coffee snob and absolutely loved it. She drinks it black, so
that's the way you drink it, brother. That's the way it goes, man. What's up, Mo? What's up, Alex? Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. B. Scott, Jose, Rich. And if I miss you, Alden Wheeler, what's going on, Alden? Good to see you upright and moving around. Glad to see you on the road to recovery, my man. Listen, I want to know, first of all, Gaby, what are you smoking?
Believe it or not, I'm going outside my normal wheelhouse tonight. I've got a El Titan de Bronze Connecticut
very
one.
Nice.
Very nice. Armen?
It's
Oops, I'm sorry, Gaby. I thought you were done.
I'm glad you asked.
Go ahead, Gaby. Armen's gone. What about the cigar? Yummy, tasty?
I always like to smoke cigars from people I respect and I love, and to support their operations. And I'll tell you what, man, El Titan de Bronze, they use solid tobacco. They got excellent rollers, and they've been doing it for many, many, many decades. And I love Sandy and her family. They just do a great job, man. I love smoking their cigars.
Very nice.
Well, you know what? You just basically said everything I needed to say about smoking cigars from people that you love and respect. I'm not sure if this looks familiar.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Are you now?
I hear
yes.
they're good.
The Stogie Road.
I hear they're good.
So yes, Carrie's beautiful barber pole.
That's what she
I
said.
can't believe. Yeah, I can't believe you have one, man. I had a full box here. Then you all came over, started
That
drinking.
was the Lanceros, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
your
then
box.
the box of Lanceros disappeared.
I'll tell you what, my buddy
So-
Ken Pippin just contacted me tonight. I'm literally down to my last box of Toros.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So I want to tell you guys what I'm smoking tonight, just to be a selfish prick, but I'm breaking the 2020 crap with what I'm going to smoke tonight. Okay. So all things are going to go well after tonight. What do you think about that, Armen? You think that's
I'm
a
praying.
good
I'm
prediction?
hoping, man. What
Let
do
me
you got?
tell you, if there's truth to that, please by all means
What's up,
get
Mike?
on it.
What's up, John Stahl? I'm going to be smoking. I pulled this out of the Stogie Road vault, the Viajante vault.
All
So
right.
10 years.
Okay.
Liberty Series Camacho, right?
2010.
Oh, 2010.
2010. So
Selfish prick.
10 years old. I'm going to smoke this because I figure 10 years ago, there's no such thing as a COVID virus.
By the way, it's we almost didn't have this podcast, right? You had some drama going on down there, huh, brother?
We had storms come through last night about 4 in the morning. Knocked out electricity. We were without electricity for 4 hours. Afterwards, we were out of internet until literally 15 minutes before the show started. I contacted you guys.
Yeah.
Guys, let's stop everything. I've got to say hi to my friend Carlito Fuente. Thank you, my brother, for joining in.
Thank you, Carlito. Good to see you, sir.
Oh, that's huge. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it means a lot that you take the time to tune in. Everybody, Mike, Ken, Mike Miduri, Alex Spencer, Andrew Brown, love you guys. Carlito,
Ken, what's
thanks
going
for
on?
tuning in. Wherever life finds you all, please be safe and keep apart from everybody else. I don't care who it is. Just be safe, guys. Be smart.
That's really nice, man. I've never met Carlito personally, but through everything I've heard from you, Gabby, I feel like I already know him, and that's really tremendous. We appreciate anybody and everybody who tunes in and listens to our podcast. Most appreciated.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And definitely welcome, Carlito. Ken's on. Welcome, Ken. Welcome, Mike. So, guys, what do we talk about today?
Well, it's Thursday, the 9th of April, correct? Beginning of April. We're, tell you what, it's been an interesting month for us. We can pretty much assume that everybody's on kind of, I hate the term lockdown because it just sounds so prison-esque, you know?
But it is accurate.
And cuarenta means 40 days, so we're not really in quarantine. So we're kind of like in our homes and can't leave unless we're going to go get, food or drugs? Well,
food or alcohol. Food or alcohol, right? Alcohol's an essential.
Food and what?
Alcohol.
Food or pharmaceuticals, I'll say, not drugs.
Right.
Hey,
From your nearest pharmaceutical rep.
Yes, officer. I'm going on a drug run. Great, go for it.
I would like to have a laxative, please.
So where we're at is we're trying to predict the future as small business owners. And I'm reading what Mo wrote. That's wonderful, Mo. Good job, man.
Definitely. Congratulations.
Keep up the great work.
John Stahl, don't worry. The Sweetgrass Gringo will be available very, very soon. So, 2020 is getting better already.
Yeah, I think at this point, drug pushers are out there selling off 500 and 1,000 milligram vitamin C.
Yeah. Vitamin C, vitamin D, everything. Oh, look at that.
Here's vitamin
I
K.
That was special, Gabby.
Vitamin K.
Why does he have one?
Vitamin K 1901.
Vitamin K 1901.
So
Actually,
you know
I just had a cup about an hour ago. I guess that's why I'm feeling so jacked up right now.
I want to tell you guys something, right? Put up that bag. I want to talk about that bag for a second because you know what?
You just wanted to block my face. Go ahead.
Look, that's just a coffee bag, right? You know where the coffee bag ends up? In the trash. We label it with a nice, clean sticker. Our focus is on what's inside the bag. Listen, we sell 1,000 pounds of that coffee every single month like clockwork. I'm not a salesman. I suck at selling. I'm sure Nabil is on. I'm sure he could tell you I suck at selling. What's up, Nabil? How are you? Nabil owns Old Town Cigars over in Kansas City. Great shop. And him and I always talk, and he supports the hell out of us, and I appreciate that. But what it's funny, you know, we're in the cigar business, right? This is a good place to start. If you look at the boxes, the packaging, the cigar bands, I understand the history, the tradition, the storytelling that goes along with all that. But man, our real focus is on the product, the experience. You know, you throw the box away, you throw the cigar band away, you end up asking yourself, was that a good cigar? Was that good coffee? Am I going to go buy more? And I think that's when our business was built on those principles, and we approach difficult times like we are in now. Yes, we're worried, but we're not losing sleep at night.
Right. Hey, that's a good.
Well, the only thing that I'm going to disagree with, brother, I'm sorry, is that since my very first coffee was also sent to me by the great doctor, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to have you autograph it, and then I'm going to frame it right behind me. So one day when we do the podcast, it'll be very visible.
Here's something I want to. You said something, Gabby. It's interesting, and I want to ask you a question. Get you to think about this for a second. You're right and you're wrong. Not everybody throws boxes away. Not everybody throws away their cigar bands. What other retail industry do you have where you have people that collect like that? That literally, I mean, if I showed you.
Oscar is saying hi, guys. Hola, Oscar.
Yes.
Un placer, amigo.
That's literally a Dixie cup out of the ocean of the cigar bands that I save. I have boxes all over the place. So, and I just spilled them. What other retail industry do we have that you could think of where people collect things like this?
The only other thing, and I'll be honest with you, first, guys, Oscar's down at the factory. He's saying hello to everybody, including you, Armen. It's all wave to Don Oscar. Saludos, hermano. Un placer.
Did you hear my question, Gabby, or you just not going to answer it?
I heard your question, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay.
The only two things that I've ever known of, and I know this because my wife's grandfather.
What's up, Kevin here?
He's got a stamp collection that is. It takes up an entire room. So if you look at stamp collectors and you look at coin collectors, cigar band collecting kind of falls in that realm, you know?
Yeah, but you don't. The stamp collector, do they take the letter and cut the stamp and save it, or do they go buy the stamp special?
So my wife's grandfather actually collected the letters with the stamp on it.
See, I think that's more applicable. And I throw it out there because I think it's a very interesting industry that we're in. You know, if you drink beer, you drink scotch, whatever. Yeah, you may save a bottle or so, but you'll end up throwing it out. But you see so many different cigar boxes and cigar bands being repurposed on a regular basis. People making businesses out of repurposing cigar boxes and cigar bands.
Right. Shit, they're making lamps. They're making everything.
I mean, hell, I just find it amazing that it's that much passion from not only the cigar makers and the people who work in the industry, but the people who are actually smoking the cigars, the consumers, the shops, that people are always looking to repurpose, these things. I don't know. If anybody else could think of another industry like that, I'd love for you to share it because I look at that and I think that's a very unique thing. What's up, Val? Your partner Val's on, Armen.
Here comes
Valot. How are you, Valot? Joshua Fox. Y'all need to see my cigar room. Beautiful, man. I have never been in Josh's room before, but I have seen a picture of his room.
Bones.
Just to be clear, Josh.
Bones said he used to collect
guys,
little bottles of liquor from the airplanes. That was just so you could
Guess
refill
what this
them.
is over here. Guess what this is over here, floating around. Can you see my hand floating around?
Now I can.
All right. You see it now?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Guess what this is.
That's my mind getting blown right now. What you're about to say.
That's fucking Wuhan right now. Wuhan, China. Wuhan, China put the brakes on planet Earth. And you know what? And I'm not happy about it. I'm not happy about it because you know what? I'm going to get this off my chest. Let me sit up.
Mike Volley, how you doing, Mike? Good to see you again, buddy.
Mike, Nostradamus, he's on.
Yep, he's a smart guy.
5 to 8 million.
Caitlin Finley, my favorite Finley. Ken Pippin, what's up, my man? So
December 1st was the first case, right?
Yeah.
In Wuhan, China.
Yeah.
They sat on that shit for 2 months before they decided to tell anybody what was going on.
Correct.
You mean it's not American made?
It's troubling, you know, guys, because now we find ourselves in a pickle. We went for a walk today with the family, and we're going around the corner of this one neighborhood that has this big ficus hedge, and we're coming around the corner, and we're like 10 feet away from another couple approaching us, and everyone's panicking, like fucking staying away from each other. And, you know, we started laughing like, what? Look what they did to us, man. Armen, I like if I were to see you, I can't shake your hand anymore, Habibi. No more. Nothing.
I know I have to wear a hazmat suit to come visit the cafes now. It's sad. But what do you guys think of the articles that are surfacing now to the news of China sending people to universities? Boston University, if I'm not mistaken, Harvard was mentioned also, more specifically in the chemistry department, and as a means to gather information and things like that and take it back to China. And now they're saying that now they're connecting one person from Boston University specifically with the coronavirus. Now,
yeah, we know that prick's been arrested, right?
What's up, Duncan?
Yeah.
Duncan Ramon Echevarria has joined us.
Hey, Duncan. So if you take the time to read Joshua's, he's talking about all the data is completely made up, all of it. It's all bullshit data. He works in data analytics. I get it, Josh, you know, but here's what we're looking at, right? This global shutdown. Here's what I see happening, right? I see this global shutdown happening, right? And then like a week later, they issue an arrest warrant for Maduro in Venezuela. And you know, it's kind of like I'm sitting there fucking scratching my head. All right, I get the global shutdown. Well, since nobody's moving around, let's go take out Maduro. I get that, right? Then I am talking to my family in Nicaragua and in Honduras, and the word comes out that Daniel Ortega's been missing for 45 days. So what? Did the CIA take him out? Is he hiding somewhere? Imagine his country right now is afflicted, just like Honduras is, with the coronavirus.
I think he's in line at a
dying to speak.
Dollar General. I think he's been in line at a Dollar General for the last 45 days.
So here's what's messed up, right? Honduras, right? When they had the first case in Honduras, the president of Honduras, yes, his brother was arrested for cocaine trafficking.
Oh,
yeah, we all know that, right? But at least the guy shows up and goes live on camera and addresses the nation. But this guy from Nicaragua, this piece of shit, 45 days missing. Where is he?
Crickets.
Where is he? No guidance for the country, nothing going on.
Well,
what's going on is his buddy in Venezuela is not sending him any more cash. So he doesn't know what to do.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you talk about that, because I think we touched on it briefly last night, and I wanted to have our discussion tonight really focused on that recovery. Now, you know, what's it going to look like, and how are the different components of the industry and how they're going to recover from the factories to the brand owners, and more importantly, to the brick and mortars, to the cigar shops. So how is this? We talked last night. Some people are saying, "Oh, it'll take about 6 to 8 months. It'll take a year. It'll take 18 months." I mean, there's a lot of people out there who are kind of throwing some numbers around, but realistically, what impact is this going to have, and what ripple effect in those components are going to be a factor?
I think that rippling effect is already in effect.
It's already rippled.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, look, we're in the worst of it, right? I'm in New York. My partner Val, I know he's watching. It's complete shutdown here, and I try my best to keep in touch with the shop owners and everything, and it breaks my heart. Some of them I have a very close relationship, and they're telling me it's already financially it's a huge strain, and a lot of people are looking for relief. They're applying for SBA loans and things of that nature. So I mean, we're not even over. We're still in it.
Right.
Never mind what's gonna happen, brother.
You just literally you're in the third inning of the game right now. Let's back up, man. Let's get back to the beginning. First, factories are closed. There's no product coming into the U.S., right?
Absolutely.
Zero product. We've got inventory, but guess what? In 2-3 months, it's all gone. We're shit out of luck. There's no inventory. Number two, stores are literally closed for a minimum of 30 days. Curbside service, I think, might only generate 20% of their normal revenue.
It's like a trickle charger. It's trickling in, yeah.
I have the utmost respect for people doing curbside service. I support them. God bless them. Keep safe. Keep doing it. But you know what? A lot of these stores, they operate off net 30, net 60 terms. We have a lot of open invoices out there, guys.
Yeah.
And I've been in touch with our customers, and guess what? They can't pay. Their store's closed. They can't pay. So now, all of a sudden, the cash flow is gone. It's freaking gone. Cash flow does not exist right now. We're living in a world where there is no cash flow.
Right.
The only cash flow is for that magical roll of toilet paper that you find for $3 a roll, I
got that down the street, the gas station. $2.50, and then I go back in for another 4 rolls. It goes up to $3. And you're right.
You have that genius idea. If you run out of toilet paper, you're going to revert to tobacco leaves. Isn't that what you said last time?
No, garden hose.
Nabil just said not even 10% on the curbside service.
Yeah.
Oh,
garden hose, Armen. You got to use a garden hose with a very powerful jet little spray thing. So, Gaby,
like a bidet kind of thing.
Yeah,
okay,
like a bidet, but it's at night. So, Gaby, you bring up a good point. No cash flow, right? No cash flow. Factories are where they are. So, when we come out of this on the other end, who's what's gonna start the process rolling? Who's gonna get hit the hardest?
So let's go back to factories shut down.
Yeah, we just covered that.
Shut down. Rents piling up.
Yeah.
The solution, right, in America is this whole $2.6 trillion let's inject capital. They're giving us debt.
Right.
And it's debt at 7 to 8% interest. That's not really that great, you guys.
No, it's not.
The SBA loan for small businesses at 7 to 8%.
Right.
That's what you call loan shark interest rates. And I'm not going to go and take out a home equity loan on my house no. I mean, right now the question is how long is this MFer going to keep us isolated? Now in Wuhan, China, this week, right, they celebrated because Wuhan took the lockdown away. People went back, where people are being released from the hospital, going back into their homes as we speak in quarantine, and a week later, they're testing positive again.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So this shutdown for 30 days, I think the conversation right now, before we go to the next level, is how long is this shutdown going to last?
Well, that's the unknown.
Andrew Brown, he just wrote that his shop, Brown and Sons, they're doing curbside. So cheers to you on that, Andrew.
I think when you look at a model like that, Gabby, what you got to think of is that coming out the other end, and then you got to look at it in several different formats. One is, okay, what happens if we can open up business within 30 days, 60 days, 90 days? The longer it goes out, the more impact it's going to have. The more shops are going to go away. The more debt that's going to be incurred. So there really isn't a I don't want to do the same model that they use for the COVID virus spread. I saw Bilatti's posting. But what I'm saying is that you have to have an idea, because let's say if it's 30, 60, 90 days, who's going to get hit the hardest when we come out the other end of this thing? Because we really don't know how long it's going to last.
Before I answer that question, I want to say hello to Rafael Nodal. He's actually tuning in. Thank you, Rafael. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Welcome.
We'd love to have you on as a guest when you have some free time, my friend. God bless you and everything you do. We love you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Again.
No, well,
who's going to be?
You were asking.
You
were talking about the duration. You were talking about the duration. I said we don't know the duration, but the best way that when you look at these models is you got to take a look at what ifs, and there's multiple what ifs. Best case scenario is 30 days. Worst case scenario is 120 days. Theoretically.
Right. I mean, yes.
And if you say, let's say, you're like, okay, maybe if it's 30 days, we'll lose 15% of the brick and mortars. If we go 60 days, we're going to lose 30%. The longer it goes out, the more we're going to lose, because you can't sustain that type of overhead and that debt for a long period of time with only being able to bring in 10 to 15% of your normal profit.
Well, I think we're all affected. We're all affected, obviously, and each of us to a different degree. But it's hard to gauge that, because we've spoke about this as well. And Gabby and I always talk about his factory and ours in DR, and the key to it being inventory and having inventory here, because as he said, they're shut down, nothing's coming in, right? So, but at the same time, Gabby, you're still getting those phone calls. There are still issues. There are still things to take care of at the Cappy factory. So it's an ongoing thing. Yeah. The cigars aren't going out as they were, but
we still have overhead. We still have to send money down to the factory, and we are bracing ourselves to, how long can we hold the fort down? Mm-hmm. I'm not going to sit here and make up a bullshit story. Ideally, it's 30 days would be something that we can handle. 60 days, the pain would kick in. Anything longer than 60 days, then holy shit, we're going to have to close everything indefinitely until we can come out of this. Because right now, things have changed right now, right? There's if my phone rings and a customer's placing an order that we've got long relationships with, we'll honor the terms that we've always given them. But right now, I think this credit crisis is going to even destroy companies' ability to give credit to retailers, because we need that cash flow sooner than later.
Exactly.
We don't need the cash 30 or 60 days from now. We need it today so that we could pay yesterday's bills.
Right.
So, Mike Belotti's I'll tell you what, he's a man that I'd really enjoy having a talk with him and really discussing short-term, long-term effects out of this. But this we've never experienced. Look, when 9/11 happened, right? September 11th, I did an analysis of the stock market crash that happened because of the 9/11 Twin Towers falling and 3,000 people losing their lives. The market dropped 23% in a couple of days after 9/11. The markets technically dropped about 35% the first week of the COVID virus. And here's what's funny is we're injecting fake money again. When you print $2.6 trillion and you inject it into a system, people don't realize, but you're actually devaluing the dollar. The Fed chair today said Fed Chair Powell today said that he's not concerned about inflation right now. He doesn't see that being a problem in the short term. Well, yeah, no shit. That's because nobody can spend any money right now.
Exactly.
What's up, Sam? How you doing? Thanks for joining us. Sam said, "Good evening, gentlemen and Gabby." So I don't know if he considers you a no, gentleman, Gabby. That's funny.
I love you, Sam.
But, you know, we got to have Mike on one of the upcoming podcasts to discuss this because he is a great dude to talk to, very knowledgeable. You know, he was in the Wall Street and investing before he got into the cigar business, and an overall good guy too, and a great dresser.
Okay.
You know,
So let's have him on.
Sam hopped on. Sam is I don't know how long you all have been in the cigar industry, but Sam is the original rock star extraordinaire. He put brands on the map. Sam is the reason Nub Cigars blew up in the United States of America and then went global. Sam is a powerhouse.
Yeah.
He is he's a guy. I learned a lot from him, man, just watching him. He's a great, great guy.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to call him a friend.
Good evening, Franco. Yeah. We had Sam on the show. He is a really great guy, very interesting and very knowledgeable. And you know what's best is he's very humble too. You know, there's a lot of goofballs out there, and he is definitely someone who has a great resume, a great deal of success, and is very humble. So I always appreciate that.
So, you know, the brick and mortar retailers that are going to survive this horrendous economic episode that we're living through are the guys that own their own building.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
There's a lot of old timers out there. I guarantee you, David Garofalo is one of them up at Two Guys Smoke Shop.
Two Guys, yes, absolutely.
Where he owns his properties. He's probably debt free. He doesn't have to pay rent. He doesn't have to, you know, call up his landlord to see if he'll give him extra month on the rent payment. Right now, there's guys that have, you know, I always say, you know, when the economy's great, everybody thinks they're a great businessman or woman. It's when the shit hits the fan that you discover who the really good businessmen and women are out there. And it's the guys that manage their money well. Don't buy shit you don't need. Don't buy product that doesn't sell.
Look, with a real estate background, I can even tell you, my heart goes obviously to anybody with a cigar shop, but I'm sure you have some idea about the astronomical leases that they pay here in New York, and I'm crunching the numbers in my head, and I'm thinking, if this goes on, as you said, another 30 days, maybe 60 days, I'd hate to even think what would happen at that point. I don't even.
A lot of retailers are getting their landlords to push off the rent for 2-3 months. There's some that aren't even getting max 30 days. You know, and here's the problem. I was listening to Rocky Patel speak today, and he was talking about all his burn locations, right? And he said that every quarter he spends $250,000 on rent.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
I mean, I everybody has a different budget, but man, when you have that type of overhead and you have a sales force like the one he has, 22, 24 people deep, you know, I don't know what you do with that staff. You know, you got to support them, their families, their everything. Right now, nobody's on the road. Right now, nobody's selling. Right now, our phones are not ringing like they normally do, guys.
Right.
Phone, usually 4 or 5, 6 orders a day. We're now it's like.
Look, I understand there are reps also that do this part-time, but there are a great number of them that do it full-time. That is their livelihood. And all of a sudden, it's completely cut off. And where does that leave them? So
it's tough.
It's hard.
It's tough. I mean, when you get furloughed, laid off, let go, and you know, you are someone who's relying on that income, and you're waiting there with bated breath for things to come back so you can hop back into your work with something that you love. So
So
it's hitting everybody.
what's the current unemployment numbers as of today? Mike Bellady I think it's 16.5 million people laid off. Is that correct according to today's report?
I believe.
Is it? I couldn't even tell you.
So imagine 16.5 million people laid off from full-time jobs, let's say, and these are people that, let's say, on average made $50,000 a year. On average, okay? That's money that's disappeared from our economy. It's gone. It's not coming back tomorrow. It's not going to come back in the next 3 to 4 weeks. It might not even come back in the next 90 days. And you know, the cigar industry, let's make something really clear about the premium cigar industry is that yes, it's an industry where we sell a luxury product, but it's really driven by blue collar America. You know, my business would shut down if I only sold cigars to the rich and famous. You know what's funny about the rich and famous? They don't want to pay for shit. They want it for free. You know? I don't know why I'm going there, but it's the truth. You know, you get celebrities, you get NBA stars, you get all these athletes. They want free shit.
What's up, Caesar?
The wealthier they get. What up,
You're
buddy?
a numbers guy, right? Andrew Brown is just saying 16.6 million, and
Right.
Brian is saying 10% unemployed. They said in 2 weeks' time. So
10%, incredible.
how heavy is that?
I mean, President Trump was rocking and rolling with his economy, and here comes the Chinese, and they just shit on his parade, man.
Yeah, I'm reading here that unemployment rate in the United States stand at 19% in 12 months time in the long term, and projected that trend will go into 2021 at 15% and then get down to 12.9 in 2022. So like Mike was talking last night. I mean, that's, you know, it's not something that's going to turn around like that. It's going to be a long term and a long road to hoe.
Yeah, Sam Leckie is saying most businesses are driven by the middle class.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that are spending money. You know, it's all about purchasing dollars. You know, if you look at a third world country like Honduras, right? You've got two segments of the population. You've got the extremely affluent people. You've got a very small middle class. It's actually been improving, but I'd say about 75 to 80% of the country is poor. So the purchasing power of that segment of the population that earns on average $285 a month for a full-time job, that's why these countries don't develop. They don't have that income that gives them the purchasing power. In the U.S., that's what made the U.S. the greatest and strongest country ever, because of our purchasing power, our minimum wages being so high, our standard of living. You know, it seems that, you know, I don't know. Look, this shit was not coincidence. This was a direct attack on the U.S. economy, on the global economy.
It definitely was a hit on the global economy, most definitely. So, where do we go from here when it comes to looking forward? Because the unknown is how long this is going to last. But I think everybody's thinking about, you know, how am I going to get to this month? Because speaking personally too, I think everybody's looking out, going, okay, I can make it to this point. You know, I'm here. I can make it to here. But if it goes beyond here, I'm fucked. So how can I make it beyond that? So, I mean, I think with everybody's mindset in that area, you got to start thinking about after that flashpoint when things start to, and it's not going to happen all at once. Obviously, I think each area, you know, depending on their recovery, is going to be. What are you doing, Gabby?
I don't know, man. It's kind of disturbing.
I think we're.
And he's looking at me.
All right. So what I was saying is, like, you know, once we get to that point and these areas start popping up, right? It's not going to happen all at once. You know, how do we get back to some normalcy? Because the shops, like you said, if you have cigar shops that have been really reduced money flow, are they going to have the money to pay for a product that they're going to need for their shop? Is it going to be, okay, 30, 60, 90 days, from the reps and the manufacturers? But then again, it's not like guys like you, Armen and Gaby, can say, okay, well, here's a bazillion cigars, pay me. And I mean, we got bills to pay too. So it's that's why I said, why I said earlier, it's that ripple effect where everyone wants to help everybody out, but everybody's got to pay their bills. So where's that nice balance?
So the first thing I see, and Armen, I'll let you continue on this, right?
Sure.
We talk about cash flow, right? Money has significantly reduced. It stopped coming in, right? So as money stops coming in, it stops going out. So there's a twofold problem here, and Mike Bellady will agree. Right now, look, I think millennials really have changed the way our economy is structured, because I think they're a lot savvier, they're a lot smarter, they're a lot of them were investing a lot earlier than were their parents at the same age. So we've got 70 million people out there that really are part of the workforce that should have better savings than their parents did at their age. I think America, in large part, has some reserves, but those reserves go away really, really fast when that mortgage payment hits, when that rent hits, when insurance hits, when even, brick and mortar shop owners, I know brick and mortar shop owners that are dreading the first of the month because they don't have the $3, $4, $5 to make their bills. So they're telling their landlords, look, either you waive it or I'm out. And so now we're going to have, imagine how many square feet of commercial real estate we're going to have across America that's empty. Imagine how many of those commercial properties aren't going to be able to pay their mortgage. I mean, I see a not so much in the residential component, right? Because I'm not an expert on this, but I know if you can't pay your rent and you've got your family in there, the courts aren't going to come in and kick you out of your house, right?
No.
It doesn't. Oh, you're a realtor, Armen,
Yeah, especially in New York, the laws really, really protect the tenant. Even under normal circumstances, whatever you may consider to be normal.
Okay.
Good luck getting the tenant out. So at least in that sector, there's a little bit of a cushion.
So
but
with
as
commercial
you said,
real estate, tell me what are the laws with that? How does that work?
Different animal. Well, now though, they're giving some leniency. And every day, at least I get updates from the state, and it literally changes day by day. Even my company sends me emails, sometimes 3-4 times a day, and the last email will differ vastly from the first email. So how all of it is going to play out, I don't know. But I can tell you this: if you're if you do have, like you said, that reserve money, and you wait it out, let me tell you, even in residential, and you and I spoke about this, secondary homes, things like that, you're going to see big problems there. So if you are an investor and you have that money available, keep an eye out, because it'll be your time to buy.
In Florida, commercial real estate, if you don't pay your rent, you have 2 weeks to get out.
Now, my question to you is, because I don't.
I don't think you guys ever answered the first question, but go ahead.
What was the first question?
That won't happen in New York. That'll never happen in New York.
What's your favorite color, Gaby?
Yeah.
Purple.
Thank you. All right. Yes. Armen, what's your favorite color?
Purple was
right. There we go. We got an answer question.
I'm sorry.
Or a question.
It was all about grape flavor, everything. I used to fake a cough just so I could drink Dimetap. Maybe that's why I am the way I am now.
We had a thing called Aspergum when I was a kid, and it was gum that was aspirin. You could chew it and it released aspirin, and we used to take it into school, and we used to chew gum and tell the nuns that it was Aspergum because we had a headache. because you weren't allowed to chew gum in school.
Imagine having oxycodone gum. That you're onto something there, pal. I think you've just you've just sparked a great idea.
Wow.
The business mind of
Gabby,
the doctor.
Can't say that. Come on. Next
They're
thing
coming out with cigars that look like crayons.
Yeah, I was
Why
gonna
not
say,
come out with bubblegum oxycodone?
Why not? Blow a bubble, blow your head off. No, I was asking is that, what's like when we come out the other end of this thing, what's going to be the balance between the struggles of the brick and mortar? Duncan's commented about the situation that he's had with some of the landlords that he's dealt with. We've talked again about needing cash flow and reduction in cash flow, but there's going to be that impact of not only from the brick and mortar end of things, but from the cigar brand owner, manufacturer, factories. Everyone has to get paid somewhere. So where is the happy balance? Where is the happy medium where we can all rise up and make a comeback in the industry? In that old saying of all boats rise with the tide.
Is there something that's that clear cut? I don't know, but I'm gonna add to the problem because we're still in this uncertainty, even with government regulation. Where the premium cigars stand, right? So in the middle of trying to grasp what's happening and coming out of this on the other end, as you just said, from a financial standpoint, we still don't even know what's going to happen from a legislative point of view. So that in itself could be the perfect storm. Now, obviously, we know that they're going to continue doing what they're doing, is kick the can down the road. I understand, that's fine, but I don't know. That is something to think about. Can I sit here now and say, well, here's the solution. This, I believe, will bring balance to people like us, factory owners with brick and mortar, with Salesforce and all of that. I don't know. Right now, I think there are just too many unknowns, too many variables. How long will this go? I don't know. Gabby, I don't know if you have any thought about that, but it's a tough one to call.
Yeah, I do have some thoughts about that, but I want to read this comment that Larry wrote. You'll see this country back up and running within a month, in the next month, or you'll start to see social unrest, which means riots. When people can't put food on the table in mainstream, I think lower socioeconomic groups that people are living month to month. What do you do when you don't have any money? You've spent it all.
Well, that's something I talked about with you guys, and that is true. People are getting nervous. I pray to God it doesn't get there, but I was talking to Val within this past week, and he said in LA, places that sell firearms and ammo, there have been lines down the block. People have been buying up firearms and ammunition. I'm talking about California. So I don't know. Are they anticipating something? Who knows? But obviously, people do have that thought process, and they're preparing for it. And
it'll be right in California, though. They got a lot of those no gun zone signs, so everybody will be all right.
Duncan states.
You say so.
That was sarcasm.
The LA Times just reported 16,000 deaths in the U.S. That's a lot, guys. So reports coming out of China, what was it, 33,000 deaths they had? We're up to 16,000. Obviously, China's lying. We're at war, man. This is this is World War III disguised as a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
My concern is
almost naive to think otherwise.
Yeah, my concern is this, right? So we've been attacked. Let's take the entire European Union, right? You notice Russia's not really reporting anything. They're kind of like they're just sitting there in the corner, all quiet, right? Russia.
Yep.
And the only thing happening with Russia is they're having this pricing war on petrol. But us here in the West Coast, in the Americas, we saw the price of oil tank, but we don't really know strategically how that affects Russia or how that affects China or how that affects OPEC. I'm not that savvy, right, when it comes to the price of oil and how that affects those countries. Obviously, they're oil-producing nations. But I do know that the U.S., when the price of oil dropped, the first thing they did was purchase it all.
Right.
The U.S. is up to its gills in petroleum right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've been attacked. The European Union, Spain, Italy, France, Great Britain, and the U.S. What's the retaliation? And today I saw the Prime Minister of Japan announced publicly that he's going to pay corporations from Japan billions of dollars to pull all their manufacturing facilities out of China. Are we going to begin to isolate China? That's my question.
We started doing that, and then this happened.
Didn't Trump go to India?
I'm saying that we were in the early stages and process of doing that, and actually either saying, "Look, come to the negotiating table, or else." And it looked like someone was starting to play in the sandbox, and then we kind of got blindsided with this. I say blindsided, but we got hit with this.
See, this is why it's so imperative for people to tune into our podcast, because we've also touched on that in previous episodes, right? How quickly did President Trump hightail it to India? Yes, does everybody remember that?
Immediately, 120,000 people were there to greet him.
Yes.
China created and released this virus to break back of world and U.S. to break tariffs. Yeah, we're under a new version of a world war, and the ones that have been spared are China and Russia. And what's interesting about everything happening, right? I've always thought that it was very strange that the largest privately owned company in the entire planet, and you guys know Saudi Aramco, right? The big Saudi petrol company that's worth about, they put a value on that company close to $6 trillion, right? It's the wealthiest company on the planet, right? Well, it went public in the New York Stock Exchange in November. Now, when a company like that goes public and allows shareholders to buy pieces of that company, Saudi Arabia and Saudi Aramco integrated into the American economic system, into the global economic spectrum. And literally a month later, after that happens, China releases this bug. Because China used to buy petrol from those countries, dirt cheap. And now those countries paid, guess who they're loyal to? Saudi Arabia and the entire UAE, right? Oman, Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain. They're all loyal to the United States. They've turned their back on China. That's exactly what's going on. How do I know that? Because all those Arab countries have signed a treaty with the U.S. to do free trade with the U.S. countries on FDA-approved products, including cigars that are registered with the FDA. When we ship cigars to the Middle East, they don't pay any taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So where does that put us? Let's bring things back down to me, to my room here. Man, I'm like a bear. I'm expecting to hibernate for minimum of 2 to 3 months hibernation.
Speaking of Bahrain, have there been any Ali sightings? Where is he? Is he okay?
Survivor Man.
I thought he was cracking down.
Survivor Man. Well, you know what though? We talk about the deaths in America, and if you recall, a year ago, there was the discussions were the high number of baby boomers that are going to be, obviously, is collecting Social Security, blah, 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 and the amount of workers who are coming into the workforce. Do we have enough younger or workforce people to be able to sustain the benefits for the baby boomers, because that high population of baby boomers were now entering into the, their later years. So
Yes.
when you're talking about in America, we know that population, that group is a rather large group, and then a virus comes along that hits, and really the folks who are suffering and dying are within that group. Those numbers are going to be higher because we have a higher population of baby boomers that are within that age group of the at risk, older, probably a lot of health risks. I mean, everyone always talks about how America just produces drugs to keep people alive and they live longer.
Right.
Well, that's because they're
Right.
living longer with multiple disease states. And you have a virus like this come along, and it's going to wipe people out. So when we talk about the numbers, and not to sound callous about it, just looking at statistics, I'm really not surprised with some of the numbers, just because of that particular age, the baby boomer age population, that group, how large it is, and the fact that they are, the at-risk individuals, they're either older or have an immunocompromised, or they have a coexisting, disease state that would put them at risk for, being susceptible to really spiraling if they get this virus. It's not surprising that some of the numbers are higher, because if you look at the patients who are I was talking to Dr. Rodriguez, and it's like 95% of the people who get this virus recover. 95%. It's that other population. But when you got a number that is so high like that, it really makes you stop and think, okay, well, I can understand why some of the numbers are higher, especially in some of the other areas.
Very true. I actually want to share what Mike Bellady just wrote. I find that very interesting. And we love numbers, and Gabby, you're a numbers guy too. He wrote, if oil gets much below $30 a barrel, it costs more to extract it than you make selling it. So I find that interesting.
And Mike said something too, and it's very true, because Gabby, you and I talked this about a while back. Should have isolated and protected the at-risk patient, the at-risk people, and we would not have had to isolate and close down the economy. And that's,
but you know what?
That's pretty impactful.
I listen. At the beginning, I said something that is very true. And if you go to China, right, there's no freedoms in China. How many doctors initially came out and said, hey, world, we've identified a virus that's very dangerous. All of a sudden, that doctor disappeared. You look at Russia, you look at countries, I don't want to start picking on countries, but there's a lot of shitty governments out there that don't give their people real freedoms like we do have here in the U.S.
China.
The problem, China. The problem in the U.S. is that we're so used to our freedoms, right? When the news reporter says, people over the age of 65 should stay in their homes and should not come out for the next 30 days. I think with this whole fake news thing we've been hearing for the past 2 years, 3 years with President Trump, man, people don't listen, man. You saw what happened in Florida during spring break.
I couldn't believe
these
some
are
of the
college
footage.
kids. These are the brightest minds in America, right?
Oh boy.
They're on spring break. The Clearwater Beach, right? Packed. I mean, people don't get it. The other day, you saw here in South Florida, right? They opened up in Hialeah, which is unfortunately probably one of the worst places to live here in South Florida because it's so congested and it's so poorly managed. They opened up unemployment lines there, and this was 2 days ago. Nobody respected personal space. They were stacked up one on top of another. No mask, no gloves, no nothing. It's like, how do you frickin' tell people? It's like, the reason we have 16,000 deaths in the U.S. right now is because this was something new. People needed to be educated on this topic. But it just goes to show you how tough it is to educate an entire population quickly.
Well, especially at that age, when you're a college student, first thing of all, you think you're indestructible. They're like, oh, well, F COVID, I'm going to party. But then they don't realize that they are going to be carriers. They may get a little sick. They may feel under the weather. They may get, kind of fluey, whatever. But they're going to be carriers, and they're going to pass it along to people who do not have strong immune systems. And that's really how it does spread. Sounds simple.
Well, look, you would figure people where I am here in New York, and especially my area and some other areas that have the heaviest concentration, you would figure people would use a little bit more common sense. And these are not spring breakers by any means. Congregating in parks, congregating outside bars, playing contact sports, showing up at funerals in throngs, a few hundred people
Thongs?
at a time. Throngs. Where's your mind?
I don't
man?
know. I thought you said thongs.
I think you probably saw Ali's new face mask, and that's why you said that.
I think
But
so.
no, Gabby, back to what you said. I really don't know what it takes to get through people's heads sometimes, because
I don't know either.
even with all the numbers now, that should be some sort of a reality check. Or people think, it's not going to affect me until it actually does.
I'm at the grocery store, and I'll repeat this story, right? I'm at the grocery store. I'm in line. I look down. There's a big-ass blue strip of tape, right? It's massive. And it's obvious they want you to stand like 10 feet away from each other, Well, I'm next in line. I go up to the cashier, and I turn around to look to see what the people were doing behind me. They didn't see a line. They were just next, like a foot or two. I'm like, what is this? I told the cashier, I go, why don't you get on the loudspeaker here and tell people, hey, keep away from each other? This thing, let me tell you something, right? This whole 6-foot thing is a bunch of bullshit, all right? Because if somebody goes, if we're in a room, right, and somebody sneezes, that shit can travel up to 15 feet, all right? If somebody sneezes, coughs, without covering their mouth, those particles are you might as well fucking French kiss that person.
Yeah, when you look at this, you ever see a sneeze in slow motion, like how much is just projected out?
Right.
It's crazy.
Right.
But I posted a something from the CDC that had a couple of tables. You look at table 2, they look at the deaths involving coronavirus disease, pneumonia, influenza report, week ending 2/1 to 4/4. And if you look at the age population of under 1 all the way up to 64, it's about 900 people. 900. If you get into 65 and above, ridiculous.
Okay.
Triple the number.
So if we backtrack a little bit, right? I love Velotti saying I should have a mask. Brother, I have a mask on my face, one on my ass. I put a mask in my underwear. I put a mask everywhere, man. If you look at the dilemma with COVID-19 is that in a normal, healthy male or female will produce a immune reaction that is normal. Now, unfortunately, elderly people, because of their decreased circulatory status, right, cardiovascular circulation, which involves the heart and the lungs, first of all, they get a delayed immune reaction, and they get a very big immune reaction. And there's actually, Kerry, you sent me the article about interleukin-6.
Mm-hmm. Cytokine storm.
It's the cytokine storm.
Yep.
And interleukin factor 6 is what you test for. And the people that are older that are surviving this are doctors that are keen enough to really fight this overwhelming immune reaction. So they're not really fighting the virus with antivirals. They're trying to suppress the immune reaction because that immune reaction is causing their lungs to fill up with fluid.
It's fever spikes, everything.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But,
it's a hyper-responsiveness. It's like asthma, Your body is just a hyper-responsiveness to whatever, whether it's dust or any type of foreign object. It's a hyper responsiveness. Your body's just responding, but in a overly aggressive way, which causes bronchoconstriction. So if you have something like what Gabby's talking about, this reaction within the human body to a foreign object, and if it's an overreaction, sometimes the body can react in such a way that it's deleterious to itself, unfortunately. So they are starting to use some medications that they use for individuals. And I think some of the disease states are like rheumatoid arthritis, because that's another one where it's an overreaction to the body, autoimmune disease, where they're able to use some of these medications in order to suppress that reaction so they have a fighting chance. So, you read a newspaper, everybody's, laughing about the different medications that are being recommended. You're kind of at the point now where you're trying to see whatever works. Everyone has a theory. Everyone's seeing what is people are reacting to and responding to. And there's even some folks that can't even take the antibiotic, because I know azithromycin is the antibiotic that they're using for to treat the pneumonia. And there's folks who have heart conditions that can't take that medication because of the effect that it has on the heart. So when you're talking about, oh, well, if that person has COPD or if they have a lung disorder, well, they're probably more at risk. But if you have someone who does have a heart issue or a heart condition, they're at risk too. Not only once the impact that the disease has on it, but the impact that the body's response has on it, plus the medications that you can and cannot use. It was like back in the day with HIV patients when they used to use a lot of drugs with sulfa. If you had a sulfa allergy, it was a death sentence, because you could not take any of the medications to treat the HIV.
Right. That is correct.
Yeah, well, at least there were some more positive stories. I actually have a dear friend who was tested positive for the virus, and he actually stayed home. He never went to the hospital, and he just took whatever steps necessary, and he's actually good now. He's healthy, and never left the house.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
please tell me he drinks a lot of scotch and smokes a lot of cigars.
That was the prescribed therapy.
I'm not sure. Maybe with a combination of certain coffee. I don't know.
Dr. DAV. Yeah, I mean, well, it is interesting you say that, because I have friends who have, gotten sick and recovered. And there's also folks that ended up in the hospital, and because they had a heart condition, they can't take the medication, they got to treat it with something else. Then you start getting into multi-organ failure because nothing's working properly. Oxygenated blood is not getting to the periphery. It's not getting to your vital organs, and you can have serious issues with that. So it's trying whatever is out there, any of these guys who are a hell of a lot smarter than any of us are trying.
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I have a comment I want to say, right?
Yeah.
So the U.S. national debt clock, I'm sure all of you have seen that magical debt clock, which is probably around $21.5 trillion right now.
Yeah.
Can somebody look it up while we're on the show? What the national debt clock? What is the deficit that the U.S. has? And I'd like to know how much of that is money that we've borrowed from China. Because I'll be honest with you, I would.
Clunkers for junkers.
I would just scratch that off. I wouldn't be looking to pay China back anytime soon.
Well, yeah, there's a big outrage. They're saying China should be shelling out close to $5 to $6 trillion because of this. As what would you call it? A reparation?
What's up, Alden?
Holy shit! Listen to this, guys. I was way off. I just popped onto the U.S. national debt clock. It was at $21 trillion in December. It is now at $24 trillion. How do we get out of this freaking hole? $24 trillion. I think the $2.6 trillion that they're injecting has just been slapped on.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, it's got to go somewhere.
So my question:
you don't have a separate set of books. I got a books that I show the government, and I got a books that I don't show the government.
I think I got it, Gabby. You just nailed it. I just came up with the brilliant idea. I know how at least the premium cigar industry is going to get out of it. I think China should buy all our inventory,
You know what?
all of it.
No, I wouldn't sell it to them.
Oh well.
Bilotti said he said it's over. He says 25 trillion.
So, Mike, I'm looking at this. Apparently, we owe about $7 trillion to China.
No, we don't.
I think if I were
we used to owe $7 trillion.
If I were President Trump, I would just send them a Happy Meal, make sure it rots on the way to China.
I just reduced the deficit by $7 trillion. And here's how I'm going to do it.
Well done.
You, CNN, you can report this. China, I sent you an IOU. Go pound sand.
That was well done.
That was great. Yeah, I think China just got a big Happy Meal from the U.S. for $7 trillion. That's why I think the U.S. right now is so happy-go-lucky printing money, because guess what? We just wiped out. Why would you pay them back? If they did this it's clear they did this to us, all right? I don't know if I'm speaking too loud. They did this to each and every single American. They did this to us. They shut down our factory in Honduras. They're shutting down Nicaragua. They're shutting down the world. How many freaking people have to die? What is one life worth? You know, look what we did when they dropped the Twin Towers. We bombed the shit out of everybody in the Middle East. We seriously did, man. So right now, China's in a very, 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 very bad position. And I'll tell you guys something. You know, in the South China Sea, how they've set up these artificial islands to do their. You should have seen the military exercises that they were doing the past couple of days out in the South China Sea. Let me tell you something, man. I am not bullshitting you. This shit's really they're getting ready for something. And you know what I love about us is that we never show our cards. I think the U.S. is going to do something massive on a big scale, and it's going to be silent but deadly. I don't wish for a world for
Don't Kerry, stop.
You had to go there. Huh?
He
God
did.
God damn it.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, there you go.
I avoided the fart noise. I'm not going to be juvenile tonight. I'm going to grow up a little bit.
Oh, I love it. Valot says, you haven't seen anything yet.
That's my man right there. Yeah.
Oh, man.
And you know what? He's right. He's 1,000% right.
They're going to spank the shit out of China. And when I say they, listen, when the Prime Minister of Great Britain is in the hospital in intensive care unit, and let me tell you something, that's our biggest ally on the planet. Mm-hmm. Something big. I just did a silent one. Duncan, shut up, Duncan.
Are we gonna order $7 trillion worth of McDonald's Happy Meal toys and have them delivered to Russia, not pay for it?
Well, so is it fair to say that I got something I want to ask you guys, smart asses.
I'd like to have $7 trillion of Matchbox Transformers for the McDonald's Happy Meal instead of to Putin.
So listen,
$7 trillion are just wiped off, guys. Let's move on.
He's on a roll.
Let's go back and talk about cigars, because that's what makes me happy, right?
Yes, sir.
You guys remember 6 months ago, I think we did a show and we were talking about Imperial Brands is for sale, right? Imperial Brands includes JR Cigars. It includes Altadis. It includes 50% of Habanos. And apparently the interested party in acquiring Imperial Brands was China.
Welcome, Jeffrey Amendola, late to the party.
Jeffrey.
Hey, what's up, Jeffrey?
Hey, who is Jeffrey Amendola? I don't remember that name. Who is that guy?
I don't know. I was texting him earlier today. It's I had to scroll really deep into my text messages. He's been very silent lately. He's been silent but deadly.
He's
plotting something too.
He's in quarantine. Poor Jeffrey, man. God bless you, brother.
Welcome, Roberto Reyes. Welcome.
Wish you well.
So, Gaby.
Oh, whoa. I want to know why Val says we need China. Val, why do we need China? Talk to me.
Come on, Val. Get those fingers tapping away.
Talk to me, Kerr.
Listen, I'm interested to see what Val has to say. I want to see his follow-up to we need China. I mean, listen, we do have a global economy, and a lot does, and China, I think, has done a really good job of being able to have their reach into multiple areas within our economy. I mean, we've just seen what happened with, the whole controversy with the basketball, the different sneakers that are being made over there. And I'm using something very, very small, but there is a very direct connection with China, and it'll be interesting to see what Val has to say. Don't steal my sneaker stuff, Val. But I do think that there is a great deal of connection there, and I think that's one of the reasons why that was a big push to stop them from devaluing the currency and to get them involved into a fair trade where we can actually all kind of live in harmony and do well. And I don't think it went over very well, but we'll see.
So it's funny. Val actually wrote
exactly
what I had mentioned maybe 1 or 2 episodes ago, and he's saying 40%. I don't know. I may have heard 80% of at least prescription medication is made there. Now
that's prescription medication.
That we need them, or is this the catalyst to actually make the changes so that is no longer the case? Because look, coronavirus or not, when I heard that staggering number, I was completely blown away. Obviously, we knew that they were making a good portion of it, but that number just floored me. I mean, think of all the patients we have in the U.S. and to be reliant on them for that much of our prescription medication. And Gaby, I know you know more about this than any of us. Yeah,
it's cheap to make the medication there, and that is really where China gets us. Exactly. Andrew, I got this microphone at Best Buy. It's cheaper to make the prescription drugs there. Now, Val, I hope you're talking about prescription drugs and not the knockoff blue pills you can buy online from China. But they do, there are a lot of pharmaceutical factories that do produce the pills in China. And I think it'd be interesting to look at how would that, let's say you move all those factories or move the factories out of China, how's that going to impact the cost of the pharmaceutical medication, right? Because that's a hot topic, right? Nobody wants to pay a lot for the medication. Medication's overpriced, blah, blah, blah. But how do you keep the cost down? One of the things that has been worked on and discussed in the past is reducing the taxes so some of these bigger companies can come to the U.S. because so many of them are relocating.
Gabby, down the hall to the right.
Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. It's all right.
I thought you just needed to use the bathroom.
So the cost of prescription medications is not the manufacturing problem. It is the effing insurance companies and the 96-month FDA pathway to get a medication approved that costs billions of dollars to get a drug on the market, which, if you all watch television, how many times are you diabetic? Why don't you try this new pill? If your farts are green, you get dizzy, you fall, you pass out while you're driving. Please consult your doctor.
That was my morning.
Every fucking drug has a side effect.
That's the legal side of it. That's the law side of it, right? Because it is multifaceted on what a prescription medication costs. You know how many companies out there that literally spend more money on their legal team than they do their research and development because of lawsuits like that?
Listen, why is China the cheapest place on the planet to make anything? Because they pay $1.25 a day.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
I think we as Americans should have a problem with that. You know?
Yeah, I mean it's a problem, but again, if you go back to how do you make the medications affordable? If you start off with a pill that maybe costs you a nickel to make, but then by the time it comes and you're paying for it and it costs $10 a pill, $20 a pill, that's $19.95 is just not jacked up for I mean, there are some companies, don't get me wrong, that are. I mean, there's been a couple of companies that have been 100% lambasted for price gouging. But when you take a look at all of the costs, it's just like a cigar, just like a cigar shop. You got to factor in overhead. You got to factor in all your costs, research and development. And I said something earlier, which is very true, is some of these pharmaceutical companies have legal teams, and their legal costs are literally outpacing their research and development because of lawsuits.
Damn it.
That's a fact.
Me? Look, Caleb Bryan, a good friend.
That's what I was going to say. Good call.
I love you, Caleb, man. Thanks for tuning in. He's talking about the insulin he's been taking for 31 years has gone up almost 300%.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? When we think of America, right? Look, when President Obama was our president for 8 years, there was one group of professionals that experienced two things: rapid job growth and income growth, right? The number of lawyers that the federal government hired, and you guys can Google this shit. You know, when President Obama came into power the first year, all attorneys that worked for the federal government got a 46% pay raise. Meanwhile, all reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid to physicians went down about 28%. When we live in a country where we're paying lawyers more than we're paying doctors,
every year doctors get a pay cut every year.
Every year.
And what happens is every insurance company follows suit once that occurs, because no one wants to move forward without seeing what the government's going to do. Once the government sets the standard, whether it's pricing a medication or paying out physicians, all the other insurance companies follow. That's a fact.
So let's come back to cigars, right? 30, 60, 90 days. Everybody can get through 30 days. It's on month number 2 that we're all going to be sitting there twirling our thumbs wondering, how long is this shit going to last? The response I've been getting from the most educated minds that surround me, which is doctors, you know, my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law is a internal medicine physician with a specialty in intensive care unit, right? His words are, we will not get back to normal until a vaccine is made available and implemented.
Yes.
Because this COVID thing, it's not like it's just going to, Monday morning, it's just going to go away. It's not going to go away.
Yeah, right. They're saying that right after the summer, fall, expect this to come back again.
Bilotti said that doctors get a pay cut, then they get the bright idea to start a cigar company.
I'm gonna share. I'm gonna tell you something,
hilarious.
Mike. You know, if I ever hear a doctor complaining about the money they make, I'm gonna be the first one to slap them. Because in my entire life of 48 years, I'll tell you what, having that paycheck every 2 weeks at that scale was, of course, the profession was very difficult. But once I started practicing medicine, I never took that paycheck for granted. In the cigar industry, cigar industry is one where if you want to make $1 million, you got to show up with $5 million in your hand, get ready to invest it all, and maybe 10 years later, you'll start to see the light of day. We're great at paying our bills. You know, I don't understand, unless you're second or third generation in this business. It's very difficult, man, to build an empire in less than, I would say, 50 years. The Padron recipe, 50 years. Now you got guys that within 5 years, they're making 5-6 million cigars a year. How they do that? They're fucking magicians, all right?
And that's for another show.
That's for another show.
The World of Magicians.
I like it. Mike Bellady says, only 5 million?
Oh.
Look at Caleb. That sounds like farming. No shit, Caleb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, the business we're in, we literally we build the company that then our kids step into, and all of a sudden they're walking around like they think they're hot shit because now after 30 years it's a strong company. But holy shit, it's been, and now with this pandemic, fuck me, I'm back to square one.
Yep. So Armen,
Yes, sir.
final thoughts.
Final thought. Well, I'm actually very grateful, and I see a lot of people really tuned in, and they've been engaged throughout the entire episode, and we thank you for that. And it's nice to see that we're getting a lot of traction with it. And please, we haven't said this before, but I encourage people to reach out if they have any other questions, if they have input, if there are certain topics that they would like to see covered. We're always open to having guests on the show as well. You're more than welcome to do so. That's what we're here for. That's why we have the name Protecting the Legacy. That's why the BCA is here. And we appreciate that very much. So I'm grateful for that. And look, just stay safe. We're all in this together. We will get out of it. Cooler heads will definitely prevail. And just hang in there. That's my final thought for the evening.
Does this mean the letter that I got from you last week about you renouncing the show, I could throw that letter away?
Throw it away.
Throw it away.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Guys,
you can't prove anything.
Armen is staying on board. He now believes in it. He believes.
He believes. That's right.
He lies. He lies.
Armen, I didn't want to tell you this, but we had a secret vote. We were going to vote you off the island. But since I was already in that position, I figured that wouldn't be fair.
You're a scholar and a gentleman, Kerry. I appreciate it.
Hey, man, that's what I'm here for.
I think the three of us should volunteer, and we should. Have you seen Naked and Afraid? How they're doing co-ed Naked and Afraid now with men and women?
No, I'm good.
I've always known it to be co-ed.
I would love to go on Naked and Afraid, man, and just be like with.
Why'd you have to go? Now I have this visual.
Gaby,
really? This is how we.
Yeah, but think about it, right?
What's going to be the one thing you bring? A big bottle of hand sanitizer?
I love.
What are you going to bring? Cigars and coffee and survive?
Hey, look, I'll start the fire, man. I'll start the fire. But you know what? Vivian will understand if I go on this show to raise $100,000. If I can make it through 21 days of. God knows I've got plenty of fat to hold me down.
I'll tell you
I
what,
would give you.
You're on that show. Kerry and I will be in our living rooms with popcorn, and I'll root you on. I will encourage you.
You've watched Naked and Afraid, right, Gaby?
I love Naked and Afraid.
So they're going to strip you naked and put you in an environment with no soap, no hand sanitizer,
no people,
no N95 mask.
No, but you're going to be in a jungle where you don't know what the hell's in there. You literally step on a branch and cut your foot.
I'm a doctor.
You're septic.
I can heal it with
what?
Tobacco plant.
21 days. I'll give you 21 minutes. I'll delegate.
He'll bribe the cameraman to get him.
Brother.
Listen.
You want to?
No, seriously.
You get nothing now.
All right.
But I make it through the 21 days.
With all due respect, if I trained for it, right? I think I can make it. Because here's the thing about most people don't know this about me. I can eat anything except bat soup. I won't eat bat soup.
I did spend time with you in Germany. I will vouch for that. Only it's not going to be apple strudels and Wiener schnitzels, brother. You're going to be eating dirt.
I'll tell you what.
I'll eat a snake. I'll eat a fucking rat. I don't care.
With everything,
Kerry, you and I are going to find a way to get in touch with that show. We're going to put in an application for him.
I'll go.
I think with everything that's going on now, Naked and Afraid, you could just get naked and just hang out for 21 days.
I have to be sent. Yeah, why don't we do naked? Next episode, we'll do it naked.
All right.
Well, I'll be sure to have the camera from the neck up.
Yeah, we'll be naked. We'll be naked, and we'll have like two viewers, and they'll be afraid.
Yeah, I'll blur the foreground instead.
Yeah, exactly.
So, listen. In all seriousness, getting away from Naked and Afraid this week and next week is going to be the toughest 2 weeks here in the East Coast, right?
Yes.
It's the numbers are getting real, and we're hoping not to see another spike. Duncan is commenting on the naked scene.
Yep.
That's funny, man. Duncan, you're going on the show with me, pal.
Poor guy.
Anyways, this week and next week, the numbers are going to spike, and then we're going to see this thing moving west. Louisiana, Texas, New Mexico, California. So it's going to be the end of April before we see this thing move across and blow up all over the United States. And each one of us has to do their part, which means stay the fuck at home. Shut the door. If you go to the grocery store, don't go to the grocery store at 5 p.m. when everybody's there. Go when they open. Most lazy people don't wake up at 7 a.m. Just avoid people. Don't go anywhere. They've told us stay at home for the next 2 weeks. Stay at home. So I hate closing statements because, I really enjoy doing this show. I think it's very therapeutic for me because I've been in isolation now for about a month, and I'm starting to crack. And you guys, I love you guys, and I don't want to be left alone.
You're never alone, Gabby.
Touch the screen.
You're fine. You're fine. It'll be okay, Gabby. It'll be okay. It'll be okay. Was that your hand, Armen? Was that your hand?
No, this is
I was just wondering. I seen him lean back, and I was wondering what was touching the screen.
It's a magic trick.
Hey, guys, I want to thank you again for another wonderful show. I mean, I think we talked about a lot of really, tough topics and relevant topics. We're going to have to see who we can have on the show next week. I know tonight we're supposed to have someone on the show, a guest. Unfortunately, things didn't work out. But I want to encourage everybody to check out the Protecting Legacy podcast. We're going to have this show uploaded this weekend. Yes. You can find it where you find all your lovely podcasting. Armen, Gaby.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always a pleasure. And more importantly, thanks to everybody for viewing, hopping on and watching. And thanks for all the input and participation. Have a great night. Have a very safe couple of weeks. Stay indoors. Wash your hands. Use hand sanitizer. Use gloves. And don't use freaking gloves when you do multiple tasks. It's.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before we sign off. On the show Naked and Afraid, do you think that the couples ever have sex?
No.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, sometimes it gets really cold at night. I mean, and they're spooning, right? I've seen it. They're like literally spooning.
Body heat, yeah.
Right, but it's one piece of one tool is so close to what, and it just makes sense. Like, I guarantee you that they're doing it, man.
Well, let me ask you a question. After a week on that island and all the things they go to and not being able to properly share and do all those things, you really think they're getting it on after that?
Oh, I would. Yeah, for sure.
Wow. Maybe you are cut out for the show.
Let me tell you something. I went to college for 12 years. There's a lot of things that happened during those 12 years. Yes, Barry Bones Argento. Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Great minds think alike, partner.
See, Duncan, I don't know. You start talking about spooning. Now Duncan's saying that so let's get it done, Gabby.
Hey, man. We got to love one another, okay?
I could see you both under the moonlight in a Louisiana swamp with mosquitoes, bugs, snakes, spiders, creepy crawly things.
Well, first, let me say hi to Abe Flores from PDR Cigars. He just tuned in. Caleb Bryan, I don't think I'll say it, dirty fucker, he said. But Duncan says, I can show you how to keep warm. Brother, you better bring some fucking matches, all right?
There's gonna be a fire made.
Yes. Oh man.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen,
gotta go.
I gotta tell you guys again, thank you very much. Great show, great visuals, and everybody be safe and have a great weekend.
Thanks for taking the time to join us this past hour. Our show is dedicated to preserving the boutique cigar industry. Federal regulations have put our entire industry in danger. With your support and sharing our message, we hope to educate and create more awareness about the craft and the art of making traditional premium cigars.